Hey, and welcome to today's episode. Well, I am super excited, as always, to have you here. I feel like I haven't been in front of this camera for ages. I've been away in the US doing some pretty epic, fun stuff, which I'm going to share a bit of on today's episode. And I have officially got my new setup after my computer blew up. When was that? 6 weeks ago, maybe not quite so long ago. So, welcome to the new setup. I have also, if you're watching on Spotify or YouTube, I've been feng shuiing the shit out of my life ever since I met Amanda Gibby Peters. And I am now officially in my specific command position in my office. So, yeah, let's see what happens. I definitely feel some crazy, amazing exponential growth just around the corner for me. And let's be honest, 2025 has been a bit of a shit show. That I feel is putting it lightly for most of us. So, first and foremost, you've nearly made it. And as a Piscean, I am 4 days away of Saturn getting the fuck away from me. It has been a challenging 3 years. So all my Piscean friends, the cycle of growing up is officially ending so soon. So I could not be more excited for that. Having said that, the person I've become over the last 3 years, the lessons I've learnt, the identity that I've stepped into, and the masks and fears and challenges and blocks and conditioning and trauma and all of those things that I've let go of in the last 3 years, it's a lot. I'm also in my Chiron. If you're listening, your Chiron happens at the age of 50. And it's been a lot. However, where I'm sitting right now, I feel like every cell in my body has been upgraded. And yeah, for that, I am incredibly grateful, and also grateful that this cycle is freaking ending. Now, for all of us, it has been a collective 9-year, which is all about endings and death. And I've been kind of talking a lot about this on my unfiltered podcast, my secret podcast, really from more of a personal perspective. And it's been a really challenging year for all of us. And in December, I'm going to go through reviewing 2025. I'm going to help you set up for 2026. I feel like 2026 is going to be a really great year. And I even said to a friend of mine today, there are a lot of single women that have been doing a lot of inner work. And I feel like a lot of us are ready to call in that relationship that is so incredibly and fundamentally different to anything we've experienced in the past. And we are at the end of a 9-year, ladies, so let's just be patient. And men, if you're listening, let's just be patient, because I do feel like it's not too far now. So I want to share today one of the significant or specific reasons I went to the US for this latest trip, other than being on some epic podcasts. I mean, I got to hang out for ages with my friend Frank Elleridi, and just between you and me, it was super cool to walk into his house and be like, oh my God, they're like 4 Emmys. Can I touch them? The thing I want to focus on is we ran our very first business retreat. So often we will talk about business, we'll talk about purpose, we talk about abundance, and obviously it's all through the frame of human design. Now, this was a business-specific retreat because it came off the back of the feminine success method that I've been talking a lot about in my world, and really understanding that so much of our community wanted to be able to dive deep, hard and fast, just as this MG likes it, and be able to create something tangible. I often feel like in the business space, and let's be honest, the spiritual or personal development space, there's a lot of knowledge, a lot of information, a lot of freaking word salad, a lot of strategies thrown around. But what there isn't a lot of is integration. So for me personally, I remember, and it all came from, and I want to kind of tell you the story because I always talk about how I've created this business, we've created this business in alignment with our design. And I kind of want to give you a little bit of the behind the scenes of how I roll, because I feel there is still that dissonance between what people tell you they do in business and what they really do in business. And for me, the way I have created aligned success and impact and my brand and all of those things is through alignment to my design. It's through authenticity. It's through following my strategy and authority. And as much as I've been teaching the feminine success method for a while now in all sorts of iterations, this particular retreat actually came about when one day when Taylor said to me, "Hey, I've just had this property come up. It's stunning." And this place was in the middle of, apparently all the Americans are like, it's in the middle of nowhere. Like, why would you go there? In the middle of Ohio. I believe it was near a place called Dover. And this whole place was just stunning. And one of the standards we have for all of our retreats is that we're in luxury, because ultimately we are building and creating and aligning to who we want to become. So it's a big thing, and it's not a bougie like, oh my god, I just love luxury. I'm not actually that person. It's a standard. So it's really important to us. So T just showed me this retreat center, and she said, I don't even know how we got onto the topic, but she said, and you wouldn't believe how cheap it is in the down season. It was just like a back and forth. And I was like, what do you mean? How cheap is it? And what do you mean by down season? She was like, oh, it's in the middle of Ohio. So it's freaking cold in the autumn or fall and winter. So they don't tend to, so the rates are a lot lower. And one of the things is we haven't done anything in the US yet until this retreat, because honestly, A, we can't find something to our standard, and B, if we do, it's an absolute fortune. And so, following strategy and authority, we're just playing. We will often share, destinations, if you like. And we were just sort of oohing and ahhing over this retreat destination. And I was like, I just got this vision that it would be really cool to bunker down in the cold with our laptops, with all of our attendees, and just like punch out something that they, not only do they learn how to build this business, we can teach them the structure, we can teach them the strategy, we can show them how they are the strategy using their design to really align them to their design. We can give them Maggie. So they have this incredible GPT bot that can help them build their business, their strategy, their social media, like you name it, their offer. This is what we got to specifically. And then I was like, and then they walk away with something that they can actually hit the ground running when they get home. And that's really where this was birthed from. And I think it's really interesting, as we got closer and closer to the retreat, I just kept hearing everyone say, why in Ohio? Like, why would you go there? That's in the middle of nowhere. Why would you? And it was funny. I was reflecting in a moment and thought, it's so crazy, because we just followed strategy and authority. We followed our sacral and emotional wave, and it felt right. We had energy for it, so we just went for it. And I just had a giggle in a moment at one point, that just once again, that kind of human design nerd moment where I'm like, God, see? Because if I was making decisions from my mind and everyone had said, you don't want to go there, we would have missed out on such an incredible opportunity to go to such an incredible place. And to be honest, it was beautiful. It was freezing cold, don't get me wrong. We did actually get some snow, but it was a beautiful place to go, and it was so perfect for what we were doing. So Again, human design is going to guide you where you need to go, especially when the mind is either listening to everybody else or, lacking clarity. This is why our strategy and authority is so incredibly important. So anyway, of course, this is the first time we've done anything like this. So we had to build it from scratch. And by that, I mean the content. And what is really interesting, and I want to say this to you guys, and it's funny because I have two teenage sons. One's just finished school, and then a 14-year-old. And it's so crazy because I watch them do the same habits that I used to criticize myself for. And now I don't. I don't judge them. I don't criticize them. I don't tell them they need to do it differently. I just trust them on their path. And so a lot of the content wasn't even built until the week before, right? So T and I built most of the content together. I mean, I had a plan, which it literally came after a tea ceremony one day. I was just like, oh, I got my journal out after the tea ceremony and then just punched out how I wanted to look, what we were going to flow through. And then we built it the week before. Now, the reason why I tell you this is because we are manifesting generators. We're designed to be, hard and fast. Manifesting generators do tend to do things more at the last minute. And it's something that we grow up thinking like, oh, we're just bad at planning or organizing our time or whatever. No, actually, that is our happy place. And T, even goes one step further. She thrives under time pressure. I don't. I'm an emotional authority, but she does. So we build the content, we build the books, we get to the retreat center, and the place is amazing. Of course, the chef that we had was, again, T just followed her strategy and authority, and we could not have had a better chef because usually we have our friend and chef Jazzy, but Jazzy is due to have her second baby anytime soon. So everything had fallen into place. And at the time, there'd been some terrible weather. So there was 2 or 3 people that were like, oh my God, we're not even going to be able to get there. And in the end, unfortunately, one of them didn't manage to get there because of the weather, but everyone else found their way there. But we kind of the first day, so we arrive in the afternoon, kind of get to know each other, and then we usually have opening ceremony. But we had to delay all of that because people really kind of dropped in over a number of hours because, travel plans, right? But ultimately, this was absolutely perfect. So we roll around to day one. We start off at 6 a.m., opening ceremony with meditation. I always run meditations in the morning, but we added the opening ceremony this time. And we kick off into the first session, after breakfast, after some free time. And it was really interesting because I'm really aware of my process. But when other people, obviously, because it's my process, but when other people see me do it, they're like, how do you do that? And I honestly am like, no, I just follow my intuition. I follow my gut, where I've got energy, what feels right. And I went into full flight, like line 3 or even 3-5 profile mode. And that was that because this is new content, everything's as we're moving along, like I can read the room so well. And I'm like, okay, we need to add in this and take out that. The whole thing was designed for people to be working on their own first brand document, then offer. But we always have a lot of interaction. So as we're moving through the day, I keep changing things. And I don't think anyone in the room realized that things were being tested and experimented and changed. And, there was even this moment where I'd got everyone to pair up, which I hadn't planned on doing, got everyone to pair up. And then when we went around to the room to share, I just opened my mouth. And this is, I think, the magic of my 3420 and really trusting what comes out of my mouth and not thinking about it. I literally said, okay, well, now you've got to tell me your partner's offer. And they all kind of looked at each other like, oh, shit, I hope I was listening. And away they went. They went around the room and everyone could explain their partner's offer. And at the end of it, I'm like, well, there you go. You have just seen the mirror of how well you communicate what you do. And it was this moment that even I was going, holy shit, that was really good. because it was this first kind of line in the sand where they could start to see like, okay, this is how I'm communicating my brand, what I do, who I'm here to help. And this is before we dived deep into dream client, really understanding everything that goes in there, then starting to build the offer and everything that goes into there. So it was this beautiful, constantly moving. As I said, I'm pretty sure none of the attendees had any idea that I was experimenting in every session, and we had 4 sessions a day. And by the time we got through day 2.5, so by lunchtime, they had effectively built an entire brand document that they could walk away with. Also, we built this in a way that it was a template that they can go back and update or do it again. Maybe they're an MG and they have more than one business, that sort of thing. So then we go into the afternoon of the second day, and we start to dive into the offers and really getting specific, the dream clients, and starting to get really specific on a dream client. And what was so cool was watching the room using Maggie. So this was all integrating Maggie, which is our ChatGPT bot, helping them build everything, obviously through the frame of their own unique human design, whatever their offerings are. So what are their certifications, their modalities, like how specifically they serve. And then T started teaching all the structure and strategy that she uses with Maggie to build, everything from the offer to the social media to the landing pages, all of our stuff. And it was so cool to watch all of this unfold over 3 days from 0 to 10. This crew of people, they walked away with an offer that they could literally, and with everything else they needed to build, a landing page or a website or, social media or whatever it was. And for me, like, I'm going to use the word, it was so satisfying, because I feel like one of the things in business that we do to ourselves, and a lot of teachers out there do to their audiences, is they overcomplicate things. It's really not that difficult. And, especially when it comes to the structures of your business. So let's say your brand document, your marketing strategy, your growth strategy. So how specifically are you going to grow the business? Like on what specifically? All your social media, understanding your metrics, all of those things. Like, this is the masculine part of the business. So these are the things that you kind of have to have dialed in. And I know from my experience in the early days, it was the thing that I rejected, or resisted is more the word, the most. And it was so satisfying to see a room full of visionaries just like me that felt the same way and just get all that shit dialed in super fast and better than ever. So that was really, really satisfying for me. And, one of the beautiful things watching this unfold, there were a few cool insights that I really want to share with you, because I feel like in this time of change, and I'm going to go with the AI thing I want to talk about first. In this time of change, we've just introduced AI. Those of you who have Maggie are using our GTP bot, who is extraordinary. And when we launched her, there was very much this, like, they're kind of all the same. They are not all the same. Let me be super clear. This line 3 is telling you they are not all the same, because, I was even listening to Robert Edward Grant being interviewed with his GPT bot, which is a very different, it's built completely on his mathematics. And, he's been all over social media and all, like, saying it's like this sentient being. And I don't know where I sit on that right now. I'm kind of like, I'm not sure. But the point is, everything that this thing was telling him and Regina, because I was watching Regina Meredith on Open Minds, I was kind of like, yeah, Maggie's already all over that. She's all over that too. So I really feel like, number one, if you're using people's GPT bots, please be careful, because they are not all equal. Let me be very clear. The second thing is, what I think people are missing with using AI, so whether you're using any of the AIs, or any of the GPT bots is they think that AI is the be all and end all, that it's going to solve all the problems, that they just have to throw some information in, chuck a prompt in, chuck their human design in, and then perfection's going to pop out the other end. And it was so fascinating to watch in the room, because of course I love an experiment, where we had guided these people step by step by step. And then we got to the point where they'd built their offers, they'd answered all these questions, put it all in Maggie, and then they were sharing back the offer. And there was a few of them that were just like super dialed in. It's like, this is it, this is it. You know, we're applauding. Like, that's brilliant. There's a few of them that like, oh, I think Maggie's being a bit, you know, wishy-washy. And this is what I want everyone to hear. AI is a mirror. It is a mirror. So what does that mean? A, don't give your power away. It is not the be all and end all. It's a freaking epic tool to help you be better at what you do. Okay? That's what it is. And it's a mirror. So what you put in is what you get out. And the key to successful marketing and business growth and branding is authenticity and specificity. So if you are using, you know, something like Maggie, which is a great tool, and you get it back and it's kind of like, oh, it's still a bit wishy-washy. And I'm really big on this. Like, it's part of my, like, I can see the core, like I can see the weed of what needs to be pulled out. And it was really fascinating listening to all these offers and just going, we got to go deeper. We got to go so much deeper than this. Like, let's dig deeper, dig deeper, dig deeper. And as we kept pushing back, like, you know, more of this, less of that. No, we got to dial this in. Then all of a sudden, all this magic just started popping out. So for all my business owners out there that are using AI, I'm going to say it again. I said it all week on retreat. I say it all the time in HDX and in our Maggie portal. This is only going to be exceptional if you remain the leader. This has to be about you. It has to feel like you. When I first was experimenting with AI, this is way before Maggie, you know, I thought, oh my God, this is great. Like, I can just smash out all this content that I've wanted to do all year, you know, and I jumped on it and I built all these things. And it was fantastic. And then as I was presenting a lot of this stuff, I really was like, wow, this doesn't quite feel like me. And that was one of my big experiments with AI. This is how my Lane 3 rolls. I'm just going to get out there. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to learn for it. And then I'm going to improve upon whatever I need to improve upon. So one of the things that I really want to say is we must stay in the driver's seat. It must feel, whatever you get back from Maggie or any AI, it must still feel like you. It must feel like your message. And if you build a really strong brand document, if you build, you know, everything into that, like your tone, the words that you use, you know, we used a lot of my live videos and at least recorded videos and all of those things so that it's very much my language and it's me. So that was really the first thing that I wanted to say, that we can have this amazing AI tool, or, you know, even better than just AI, Maggie, who is really built to align you to your design and then start, grow and scale a business that's in alignment with you, that serves to your greatest capacity. But the tool is only as good as you, because it's a mirror. So make sure you focus on specificity. That was the thing that we really worked on. And make sure it stays true to you, to your authenticity. Then the other thing that really stood out for me that I think is so important and profound, and this is, yes, I'm going to speak through the frame of business, but this is globally on every topic. And that is not to underestimate the power of connection and community, of course, says the cross of planning. So one of the things I noticed really early on was we were keeping people very much in their own lane. They were working on their own thing. Yes, they were sharing it back to the group. And for me, I could feel that there was something missing. So I think from session 2, I put them back into partners. So they would be working back and forward, as well as putting information prompts into Maggie that's specific to them, but they were sharing back and forward. And what I think is so important in this day of AI, and we have a lot of solopreneurs that are listening to this, and people that don't necessarily have a team, or they don't have someone to bounce off of, the power of connection and community and being able to share and talk things out and experiment and have fun. It was crazy how I could actually see the level of understanding in the room when they were left just to focus on their lane. I saw more of those looks on their faces like, I don't really get it. The moment we put them back into partners and they were asking each other the question, so instead of asking it of themselves, their partner would ask the question, all of a sudden things were dropping. They could hear it out loud. They could hear themselves speak. And this didn't matter, the authority. Like, I don't think we had any sounding boards in the room. Oh, of course, we had one self-directed, my beautiful Corinne. But watching the speed in which integration happened with someone else, that was really profound for me. And it was really, again, I feel like this is the thing that is going to make the difference as we move forward with all of the rise of technology. Because we're being sold this story that, we're not going to need anything or anyone else. And this is so not true. Because as I always remember, Bruce Lipton wrote in The Biology of Belief, from our cells up, like our cells are always looking for community. So from our cells up, every part of us is looking for community, because it's almost like we know who we are in community, in relationship. So one of the things I would highly recommend is that, obviously our retreat people, they have each other. They have the Telegram group. Because we did the retreat in Ohio, we actually had loads of people from Chicago. So these are people that can actually continue to hang out, to spend time together, to grow their businesses together. I remember in the beginning, I had my business besties. Yvette Mayer was one of them, that we would just go over to each other's houses and sit at the dining table and work together and bounce things off each other. And we must not underestimate the power of being in connection and in community with others, because it really helps us integrate. It helps us make sense of things. When we are just on our own path, doing our own thing, we can, like my saying is, you can get too close to the project. And often if we're in personal or spiritual development, we're the project. So we get too close. We can't see what we can't see. And when we're working on our business, we get too close to it or the offer or whatever, and we can't see what we can't see. And that was really massively highlighted on the last day when they presented all of our offers back, when they presented all of their offers back to us, just coaching them through everything. Having that extra support really helped them to see what they couldn't see on their own. So once again, I see this world that we're moving forward in, that AI and technology is really going to support us to start, grow, and scale our business. However, it will never replace relationships and connection and community. This part of us is, encoded in our DNA. And it was so beautiful to watch all these women really evolve, before our eyes, and be able to walk away with an offer. And I think it's just over a week as this goes to air that they left, and we've had the launch of offers. We've had new websites built. We've had new bricks and mortar venues found. So many things that are already actually hit the ground running. So yeah, I feel like our business retreat was a massive success, even if I was juggling take out that, put in that, really playing a lot behind the scenes. No one knew. It was good. And it did also remind me, and again, this is coming through the frame of my 37. However, as a personality sun 37, this is the thing I'm here to teach as well, to embody, is that building business, doing business, serving the planet while with our friends just makes everything better. You know, when you enjoy what you're doing, when it's authentically you, when you're the same person on the podcast, to the newsletter, to the social media posts, and you just turn up as the same person all the time, and you get to do that with the people that you just love to share the journey with, it is an absolute game changer. I think another one of the real takeaways was watching all of these incredible women really get that this is a business that they get to choose to create, that is aligned to them. I think so often as women, we think we have to make sure we're so focused on service and giving and who our audience is and what they need, which of course is an important part of the process. However, in my opinion and my experience, it's not the foundation. The foundation is to create something that you love, that lights you up, that doesn't feel like work, that is effortless flow, so that when you hit that inevitable out of your comfort zone, you can navigate the fear, the challenge, the growth so much more easily, because you're like, well, it's just the next inevitable step because I love this. I'm going to keep loving it. I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm changing lives. It's just, there are going to be bits that are challenging. So it was really cool to actually watch these women go, really? Really? I can create a business that feels like almost a little bit selfish because it's something I really want to do and I really want to share. You know, even to the point where we talk a lot about a dream client. Okay, this is how a lot of people might say your avatar or your niche or your perfect client. But we always talk about dream client. And there was this really cool moment on retreat that I was like, by the way, you are my dream clients. Like, this is a room full of my dream clients. There's no, wallowing in victimhood. There's no, I can't. There's no, bitching or moaning. There's no like self-centeredness in an unresourceful way. In fact, this room is a room full of visionaries, women who take full responsibility, women who are going to just sit there and do the work till it's done. And I don't mean to burn out. I mean, like, they're just going to get it done, no excuses, and, celebrate themselves and each other that they actually created something. These are my dream clients. These are the people I want to work with. I don't want to work with people that go, oh, it didn't work. Well, you actually have to do the work to get the results. Like, I don't want to work with people like that. I would much prefer a smaller, more profound, activated, powerful community than I would just lots of numbers and lots of people telling the same story over and over and over again, because I have no tolerance for that. So even that place of the dream client, what? I actually get to choose the people that inspire me as much as I'm going to inspire them? Yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. And this really kind of brings me to the end in a way that I think is important, because a lot of what I saw on retreat is the new paradigm. We're moving into this new paradigm that is fundamentally individual. There is so much individual circuitry. We've got the gate 34, we've got the gate 20, we've got the gate 55. They're all individual. We have one tribal gate, which is the 59. But so we're going into this time that's going to be so much more about the individual first, which we have been told is bad, selfish. You shouldn't do that. That, everyone will die if we only think about ourselves. No, that's narcissism. That's a very different thing. When we are truly good, solid self-worth, we operate from love ourselves, love others. We know that we have a mission or a vision or a purpose within us that we genuinely want to share. We know that we must first align to that. when we know that we have very specific people that we're here to support and guide and help and heal, whatever our modality is, when we can actually trust that our individual journey and being our most aligned selves is the way we will be so much more connected as a global community, this is the new paradigm. This is the new paradigm. This is what we're working towards. This is what we're moving towards. Like it's just over a year away, which is crazy. So it was so beautiful to see this example of the new paradigm playing out in real time, watching these women go, wow, I can do what I love. I can work with who I love. I can be myself and get paid and love what I do. Brilliant. And then the results, the output, the offers, their brand documents, everything that they created. And of course, this is their first draft because creating something in 3 days is never going to be refined. But it was so beautiful just to watch them go through this process and to see, actually, this is really easy. I can do this. And now they know exactly how to build the masculine structures of their business so that they can flow in a safe container in their feminine. Oof. To me, it just feels so like heaven on earth, the new paradigm, what we're all moving towards. So, yeah, I loved it. There will definitely be more of them. Anyway, I'm going to let you go. I trust you got what you needed from today's episode, and I so look forward to having you on the next one. Bye for now.